The reservation was for 7 o'clock at Bellissimo, the upscale Italian restaurant chain that had locations in 12 states. My mother's 62nd birthday and my sister Rachel had insisted on somewhere nice for once. I arrived 10 minutes early, wearing a simple black dress I'd purchased 3 years ago. Nothing flashy. Nothing that screamed money. Just clean lines and good fabric that would last. Rachel was already there with her husband David, both dressed like they were attending a gala. Rachel wore a designer dress with the label prominently displayed, and David had on what was probably a $2,000 suit. They sat at the table looking at their phones, Rachel's new Hermes bag placed carefully on the chair beside her where everyone could see it. "Oh, good, you're here," Rachel said when she spotted me. She didn't stand up. "We already ordered wine. The expensive one. Hope that's okay." "Of course." My brother Jason arrived next with his girlfriend Melissa. Jason worked in pharmaceutical sales and never let anyone forget it. Melissa was a dental hygienist who'd recently started getting lip fillers and posting about them constantly on Instagram. "Wow, Bellissimo," Jason said, looking around appreciatively. "Splurging tonight, Rachel? It's Mom's birthday. She deserves it." Rachel smiled. "Besides, David just closed a huge deal. We can afford it." Mom arrived last, looking slightly overwhelmed by the restaurant's elegant interior. She'd worn her good dress, the one she saved for weddings and funerals. Dad had passed away 4 years ago, and Mom still wasn't comfortable with expensive things. She'd grown up poor and never quite shook the feeling that nice restaurants weren't for people like us. "Oh, honey," Mom said to Rachel, "this is too much. We could have gone to." "Nonsense, Mom. You only turned 62 once." Rachel pulled out Mom's chair. "Besides, we wanted somewhere special." I sat down quietly at the end of the table. The seat they always gave me, the one by the kitchen door where servers rushed past constantly. Close enough to be included, far enough to be forgotten. The server appeared with menus. "Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bellissimo. Can I start you off with some drinks?" Jason ordered a $90 bottle of wine. Melissa got a cocktail. David ordered scotch. Rachel asked for sparkling water with extra lemon, not lime. The server looked at me. "And for you, ma'am? Just water is fine." "Thank you." Rachel laughed. "Water. Of course." She turned to the server. "My sister is very practical." The server smiled politely and left. "So, Amber," David said, using the tone people use when they're about to ask a question they already think they know the answer to. "Still doing the restaurant consulting thing?" "Yes." "Must be tough in this economy. How many clients do you have right now?" "It varies." Rachel leaned forward. Amber's being modest. "He probably has, 2 or 3 restaurants you're advising. That's not bad for someone who—" "I do okay," I said quietly. The menus arrived. I watched everyone's eyes widen at the prices. Appetizers ranged from $18 to $34. Entrees started at $42 and went up to $89 for the signature osso buco. "Jesus," Jason muttered. "Didn't realize this place was this expensive." Rachel's smile tightened. "It's fine. It's Mom's birthday." Mom was looking at the menu with visible distress. She turned it over, maybe hoping to find a cheaper section on the back. "Maybe I could just get a salad." "Mom, no," Rachel said firmly. "Order whatever you want." But I could see Rachel calculating in her head. 5 people ordering expensive entrees, plus the wine they'd already ordered, plus appetizers and dessert. This dinner was going to cost close to $600. And I could see the exact moment Rachel decided I was going to help pay for it. "Amber," Rachel said, her voice suddenly friendly, "you'll split this with us, right? I mean, it's Mom's birthday. We should all chip in." I'd been expecting this. "Of course." "Great." The relief in Rachel's voice was obvious. "We can just split it evenly. 5 ways." Except Rachel and David had already drunk half a bottle of $90 wine. And I knew exactly what was coming. Rachel would order the most expensive thing on the menu, then suggest we split the bill equally. It was her standard move. The server returned. "Are we ready to order?" Rachel went first. "I'll have the Chilean sea base. And another bottle of that wine we had. Actually, make it 2 bottles." Jason ordered the Wagyu ribeye. Melissa got the lobster ravioli. David ordered the osso buco. Mom, still looking uncomfortable, ordered the second cheapest pasta on the menu. The server looked at me. And for you. I was scanning the menu when Rachel interrupted. Oh, Amber. Maybe you should look at something more moderate? I know restaurant consulting doesn't pay as much as corporate work. Everyone turned to look at me. The prices here are pretty steep, Jason added. No shame in getting something simpler. The pasta is supposed to be good. Actually, Melissa said, trying to be helpful, I think there's an Olive Garden like 10 minutes from here. If you're more comfortable with. This place is too expensive for you, Rachel said, her voice dripping with concern that wasn't really concern at all. Stick to fast food. Seriously, Amber, we won't judge you for eating somewhere else. Mom looked mortified. Rachel, don't. I'm just being realistic, Mom. Amber works in restaurant consulting. She probably knows better than anyone that places like this are outside her budget. Rachel turned back to me with a smile. There's no shame in it. We all have different income levels. I smiled and kept browsing the menu. I think I'll have the branzino. That's $68, David said. I know. Rachel's expression shifted slightly. Amber, seriously. You don't have to try to keep up with us. We make good money. You make consultant money. It's different. I'm aware. Then maybe you should. She stopped talking because the regional manager was approaching our table. James Mitchell was 52, had been with the company for 8 years, and currently oversaw all 47 Bellissimo locations in the Midwest region. I'd promoted him to regional manager 14 months ago after the previous RM retired. Good evening, he said, his voice professionally warm. Then he saw me and stopped walking. Miss Chin. I gave him a small smile. Hi, James. His eyes went wide. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were dining with us tonight. If I'd known, I would have prepared. It's fine, James. I'm just here for my mother's birthday. Of course. Happy birthday, ma'am, he said to Mom, who looked confused. Then he turned back to me. Miss Chin, why didn't you tell them you own all our locations? The table went absolutely silent. Rachel's mouth opened slightly. Jason's hand froze halfway to his wine glass. David actually dropped his napkin. I'm sorry, Rachel said. What did you just say? James looked confused by their confusion. Miss Chin owns Bellissimo. All 47 locations in my region, plus the other 106 locations nationwide. He turned to me. Did you want your usual table? I can have it prepared in just a few minutes. And the chef would like to prepare something special if you'd like to. That won't be necessary, James. We're fine right here. Are you certain? Because your usual table has much more privacy and... Here is perfect. He nodded, still looking uncertain. Of course. Please let me know if you need anything. Anything at all. He turned to the server who'd been taking our order. Marcos, Miss Chen's entire party eats free tonight. Add it to my comp account. Yes, sir. James left. Marcos stood there awkwardly, his pen hovering over his notepad. The silence at the table was deafening. Finally, Jason spoke. Did he just say you own this restaurant? The chain, I corrected. All 153 locations. That's... Melissa did the math in her head and gave up. How is that possible? I bought it last year. Rachel's face had gone white. You bought an entire restaurant chain. Yes. How much does a restaurant chain cost? Jason asked. This one was $47 million. Mom made a small sound. I couldn't tell if it was a gasp or a cough. $47 million, David repeated slowly. You have $47 million. I had enough for the down payment. The rest is financed. But yes. Rachel was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. But you're a restaurant consultant. I consult on restaurants I'm considering acquiring. Then I acquire them. Then I hire people to run them. How long have you been doing this? Buying restaurants? About 6 years. Bellissimo was my largest purchase, but I own 4 other chains. Fast casual concepts mostly. 2 breakfast places, a burger chain, and a Mediterranean fast casual operation. The server, Marcos, was trying very hard to pretend he wasn't listening to every word. Ma'am, he said carefully, should I still take your order? Or would you prefer? Take the order, please. Everything is planned. The branzino for you? Yes. And Marcos? Make sure my family orders anything they want. Appetizers, desserts, wine. Whatever they'd like. Of course, ma'am. After Marcos left, Rachel found her voice again. This is insane. You can't possibly own this chain. You drive a Honda. A paid-off Honda that gets excellent gas mileage. You live in that tiny apartment. A paid-off condo. 1,800 square feet. It suits me. Jason was scrolling on his phone. Holy shit. Bellissimo pulled in $67 million in revenue last year. $71 million, I corrected. The article you're reading is from 18 months ago. And you own it. I own 78% of it. The remaining shares are held by the executive team as performance incentives. Mom hadn't said anything. She just sat there looking at me like she'd discovered I had superpowers. David, who worked in finance, was doing calculations. If you own 78% of a company generating $71 million annually, and if the profit margins in this industry are around 6 to 8%, then you're personally taking home about $4.2 million per year from Bellissimo alone, I said. Plus revenue from the other chains. How much total? Jason asked. Last year, about $8.3 million. Rachel's wine glass slipped. She caught it before it fell, but wine splashed onto the white tablecloth. She didn't seem to notice. $8 million. Per year. Last year. This year is tracking higher. Melissa's voice was small. And you let us. We were telling you about our expenses. Our mortgage. Jason's car payment. And you just listened, I said. As your family. And I wanted to hear about your lives. The appetizers arrived. Burrata for the table, calamari, carpaccio. Marcos set them down carefully, asked if we needed anything else and retreated quickly. No one touched the food. Amber, Mom said softly. It was the first time she'd spoken since James revealed everything. Honey, why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? Rachel made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. No. God, no. If you told us you owned Bellissimo, we would have thought you were delusional. Exactly. But why? Jason asked. Why keep it secret? Why let us think you were barely getting by? I never said I was barely getting by. You all assumed it. David was still staring at his phone. The business journals call you the silent acquirer. They say you've revolutionized casual dining acquisition strategy by focusing on undervalued chains with strong fundamentals. The writers at Restaurant Business Weekly have a flair for drama. There's an entire article about how you bought Bellissimo for $20 million under market value because you identified cost-cutting opportunities no one else saw. The previous owners were operating at 73% efficiency. I knew we could get to 89% within 18 months. We hit 91% last quarter. Rachel was shaking her head slowly. I told you to stick to fast food. You did. I said this place was too expensive for you. You did say that. Oh my God. She buried her face in her hands. I'm the worst person alive. You're not, I said gently. You just made assumptions based on incomplete information. I told the woman who owns this restaurant chain that she couldn't afford to eat here. Jason started laughing. It began as a chuckle and built into genuine laughter. Rachel told our sister, who owns 153 restaurants, to go to Olive Garden. It's not funny, Rachel said, but her lips were twitching. It's a little funny, Melissa said. Even David cracked a smile. You did suggest she eat somewhere else. I'm never living this down, am I? Probably not, I agreed. Mom was still quiet. She reached across the table and took my hand. You did this yourself? All of it? Yes. Since you were, what? 26. I bought my first restaurant at 27. A struggling breakfast place that was 2 months from bankruptcy. I turned it around, sold it for profit, and used that money for the next acquisition. And now you're 33. With 5 restaurant chains, 17 individual restaurant locations not part of chains, and a consulting firm that advises other buyers. You're rich, Jason said. I'm comfortable. You make $8 million a year. You're rich. I suppose that's fair. The entrees arrived. The branzino for me, the sea base for Rachel, the ribeye for Jason. Everything looked perfect because I'd hired the best executive chef in the region and paid him $240,000 a year to maintain quality control. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Rachel set down her fork. "I need to apologize," she said. "Not just for tonight. For years of this." "Rachel." "No, let me say it. I've spent years thinking I was better than you. More successful. More sophisticated. I bragged about David's salary and our house and our vacations. And the whole time you were building something," I finished. "Why didn't you tell us?" I considered the question carefully. "Do you remember when I bought my first restaurant? The breakfast place?" "Yes. I was so excited. I came to family dinner and told everyone I'd just purchased a restaurant. Do you remember what you said?" Rachel went pale. "Oh no. You said, 'That's cute. Like playing business with real money.' Jason said I'd lose everything within 6 months. David asked if I'd considered the tax implications, implying I was too stupid to think of taxes. And Mom looked so worried that I immediately changed the subject. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I remember. I thought you were making a terrible mistake. You all did. So I stopped talking about it. I ran my businesses, made my money, and lived my life. And at family dinners I just listened. While we bragged," Jason said quietly. "While you talked about your lives. Which you had every right to do. But you let us think," Melissa started. "I let you think what you wanted to think. I never lied. I just didn't correct your assumptions." David shook his head. "This is going to sound crazy, but I'm actually impressed by that. From a strategic standpoint, there's something brilliant about just letting people underestimate you. It wasn't strategy. It was self-preservation." The table fell quiet again. Then Mom squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you," she said. "I should have said it 6 years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Mom. Your father would have been proud too." That hit harder than I expected. I had to blink back tears. Rachel took a long drink of wine. "So just to be clear, when I suggested we split this bill 5 ways, I was essentially asking a multimillionaire to pay for my expensive dinner." "Essentially, yes. And you were going to do it." "Of course. It's Mom's birthday." Jason laughed again. "You know what? I kind of love this. We've been treating you like the poor relation for years, and you could have bought and sold all of us at any time. I don't want to buy and sell you. You're my family. Even though we've been condescending assholes?" "Yes." Melissa spoke up. "Can I ask a question? It might be rude." "Go ahead. Why do you still come to family dinners? If we treated you that way, why keep showing up?" I thought about it. Because despite everything, you're still my family. And maybe part of me hoped that eventually, you'd see me for who I actually am. "We see you now," Mom said softly. The dinner continued. The conversation shifted, carefully at first, then more naturally. Jason asked about the acquisition process. David wanted to know about profit margins and growth strategy. Melissa asked if I ever got to try all the food at my restaurants. Rachel was quiet for most of the meal. Finally, as dessert arrived, tiramisu for the table on the house, she looked at me. "I'm sorry," she said. "For all of it. For assuming. For judging. For treating you like you were less than. I forgive you. Just like that. Just like that." "Why?" "Because holding grudges is exhausting. And because you're my sister." She wiped her eyes. "I'm such an idiot." "You're not. You just learned something tonight." "What's that?" "That success doesn't always look like what you expect it to look like." James appeared again as we were finishing dessert. "Miss Chin, I wanted to personally ensure everything was satisfactory." "Everything was perfect, James. Thank you. Will you be visiting other locations soon? The Florida regional manager mentioned you might tour that area next month." "Probably. I'll confirm dates with corporate." After he left, Jason shook his head. "This is surreal. You're like a secret restaurant mogul." "I prefer the term strategic investor in casual dining operations. That's way less catchy." We left around 9:30. The parking lot was full and I watched my family walk to their cars. Rachel's Mercedes, Jason's BMW, David's Audi, and my Honda Civic parked at the back of the lot. Rachel stopped when she saw it. "You could buy a Ferrari. I could buy a dealership. But you drive a Civic. It's reliable." She laughed. You're the weirdest rich person I've ever met. I'm the only rich person you've met. Fair point. Mom hugged me extra long before she left. Same time next week for Sunday dinner? I'll be there. Will you tell us more about your businesses? If you want to hear about them. We do. I do. After everyone left, I stood in the parking lot for a moment. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Thank you for not making us feel like total idiots tonight. Even though we deserved it. I texted back, you're welcome. See you Sunday. Another text came through. From Jason this time. Quick question, are you hiring? I smiled and put my phone away. The next morning I woke up to 17 missed calls and 34 text messages. All from family members. Not just my immediate family, cousins, aunts, uncles, people I hadn't heard from in years. All suddenly very interested in how I was doing. I responded to Mom's text and ignored the rest. Sunday dinner that week was different. Rachel arrived early and actually hugged me. Jason brought a bottle of wine, not expensive but thoughtful. Even David seemed less condescending. So, Jason said as we sat down to eat, I've been researching restaurant acquisitions. It's actually fascinating. It can be. How do you identify which chains are worth buying? For the first time in 6 years I talked about my work at a family dinner. Really talked about it. The analysis, the strategy, the challenges. Everyone listened. Actually listened. Rachel asked questions. David offered insights from his finance background. Even Melissa contributed thoughts about restaurant marketing from a customer perspective. Felt strange. Good strange. Halfway through dinner Mom's phone rang. She glanced at it and frowned. It's Aunt Carol. She's called 3 times today. She texted me too, Rachel said. Asking about you, Amber. Me. She heard about the restaurant thing. She wants to reconnect. Rachel made air quotes. Also she mentioned that Uncle Jim's construction business needs investors. I sighed. Here we go. Over the next 2 weeks, I heard from 27 relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. All with business ideas. All needing investors. All suddenly remembering how close we used to be. I said no to all of them. The only family dinner invitation I accepted was from Mom. And Rachel, who'd started calling every few days just to talk. Not about money or business. His life. I've been thinking, Rachel said during one call, about how much time we wasted. Wasted how? Being jealous of things that didn't matter. I was so obsessed with looking successful that I never stopped to think about what success actually means. And now I think maybe success is having enough. Not needing to prove anything to anyone. That's very wise. I learned it from my little sister who drives a Honda and owns 5 restaurant chains. 3 months after the birthday dinner, James called me. Miss Chin, we have a situation at the downtown location. What kind of situation? Your sister is here. She's arguing with the manager about a bill. I closed my laptop. I'll be right there. When I arrived, Rachel was standing at the host stand, her face red, arguing with Marco, the assistant manager I'd hired 6 months ago. Rachel. She turned. Amber. Thank God. Tell this guy who I am. What's going on? Marco looked relieved to see me. Miss Chin, I apologize. This woman claims she's your sister and should eat for free, but we have no record of. Wait, I said. You want to eat for free because you're my sister? Rachel had the decency to look embarrassed. Well, I thought, you own the place. And I'm family. So I just assumed. I looked at Marco. Did my sister make a reservation? No, ma'am. Did she inform anyone of her relationship to me when she arrived? Not until we presented the bill, ma'am. I turned to Rachel. Pay your bill. What? You heard me. Pay your bill. Full price. With tip. But you're my sister. Which is exactly why you pay full price. I don't give family members special treatment. It's bad business practice. Amber, come on. It's just one meal. It's the principle, Rachel. You don't get free food just because we're related. That's not how this works. She stared at me. Then slowly she started to smile. You're right. That was completely out of line. She pulled out her credit card and handed it to Marco. I apologize. Please add 25% gratuity for your trouble. After she paid, we sat at the bar. I ordered 2 glasses of wine. I'm sorry, Rachel said. I don't know what I was thinking. You were thinking like someone who just discovered her sister is rich and figured that might come with perks. It was stupid. It was human. But Rachel, this is important. My money is my money. Not family money. I earned it. I manage it. And I get to decide how it's used. I understand. Do you? Because in the next few months, people are going to come to you asking for favors. Loans. Investments. They'll say, talk to Amber for me, or put in a good word. And you need to be ready to say no. I will. I mean it. This money doesn't change our relationship. We're still sisters. But I'm not an atum. She nodded slowly. You know what? I'm glad you said that. Because I was starting to think about asking you to invest in David's new business idea. Don't. I won't. He can get a business loan like everyone else. We clinked glasses. 6 months after the birthday dinner, Mom called with news. You'll never believe what I did. What? I retired. I sat up. Mom, that's wonderful. When? Today was my last day at the hospital. 40 years of nursing, done. How do you feel? Terrified. Excited. Confused. She laughed. I always thought I'd work until I dropped dead. But then I thought, why? Your father's gone. You kids are grown. What am I proving? Nothing. You don't have to prove anything. That's what you said that night at dinner. About success being enough. It stuck with me. We talked for an hour about her retirement plans. Travel. Gardening. Volunteering. All the things she'd always said she'd do someday. Before we hung up, she said, Amber? Yes. Thank you. For what? For showing me that it's okay to just be. To not constantly chase other people's definitions of success. You're welcome, Mom. A year after the birthday dinner, I received an invitation. Rachel had enrolled in business school. I figured if I'm going to talk about restaurants and acquisitions at family dinners, I should actually understand what I'm talking about, she explained when I called her. I'm proud of you. I'm 38 years old and going back to school. I must be crazy. You're never too old to learn. That's what David said. Actually, he's been amazing about it. Really supportive. Good. Amber, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think you'll ever tell them? The extended family? Everyone who's been calling asking for money. Tell them what? That you're not going to give them anything. That they need to figure it out themselves. I think they'll figure it out on their own when I keep saying no. You're not even tempted? To swoop in and solve everyone's problems. No. Because solving their problems wouldn't help them. It would just make them dependent. When did you get so wise? When I realized that the best thing anyone ever did for me was not give me money when I needed it. It forced me to figure things out myself. 2 years after the birthday dinner, Bellissimo opened its 200th location. The celebration was held at the flagship restaurant downtown, with executives, managers and staff from across the country. My family was there too. Mom, Rachel, Jason. All dressed up, all proud. During my speech, I looked out at the crowd and saw my sister in the front row taking notes. She was doing a business school project on acquisition strategy. I saw Jason, who'd quit his pharmaceutical sales job and was now working as an operations consultant. Not for my companies but for his own clients he'd built relationships with. I saw Mom, retired and happy, wearing a dress she'd chosen because she liked it, not because it was expensive. And I realized something. The best revenge isn't making people feel bad about underestimating you. It's showing them what's possible when someone believes in themselves, even when no one else does. After the event, Rachel pulled me aside. I have something to tell you, she said. What? I'm graduating in May. Top of my class. Rachel, that's incredible. And I got a job offer. At a restaurant consulting firm. It's not yours, she added quickly. I wanted to do this on my own. I'm so proud of you. I learned from the best. He hugged me. Thank you, Amber. For everything. For showing me that success doesn't have to look like what I thought it did. For being patient with me when I was awful. For never giving up on family even when we gave you every reason to. You're welcome. As I drove home that night in my Honda Civic, I thought about that birthday dinner 2 years ago. About Rachel telling me the restaurant was too expensive. About the look on everyone's faces when they realized who I was. It had been satisfying, yes. But not because of their embarrassment. It had been satisfying because finally, Finally, they saw me. Not as the poor sister. Not as the unsuccessful one. Not as the person who needed their pity or their advice. Just as me. Amber. The quiet one who built an empire while everyone else was looking the other way. And that, I realized, was worth more than all the restaurants in the world.